of her brothers.
Of the brothers?
Yeah.
Here, Mrs. Goblet. This is...
Bubby, can you talk about the brothers and your family and just tell me who everybody and what you remember about them?
Yeah.
Well,
this is your...
my father.
dad. Yeah.
And this is my brother Louis, the oldest one. And then this is Ruby.
Oh, yeah.
And this is Maxie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Maxie's here.
And this.
And this is Davy.
Yeah.
Bill,
Billy.
my son, brother Bill, my oldest brother. He was gorgeous.
Who was he?
Louis.
Louis.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my father and Jackie.
Jackie.
The youngest.
Okay. Can you talk about your father? What do you remember about your father?
My father was a very aggressive person. He was well read. He knew what was coming ahead of time. He threatened us. He says there comes a time when airplanes will be flying. We'll have money and nobody will exchange the money for them. Money has no what do you call it?
Value?
No value, yeah. And that's how the world's going to end.
No.
What?
You told me that he said the world gonna end, that people gonna fly like birds.
Yeah, well, if the airplane are going to be just like birds in the air. That's how we describe it.
Where was your father from?
Russia, I think, but we never discussed where he came from.
Now, you had how many brothers and sisters?
There's my brothers, 6 brothers,
And how many sisters?
5.
And where did you fall in the family?
I was the 7th. There's a girl. My mother had Louis, and this is Davy, and who else? And take it away, Maggie.
Okay.
And this is Maxie and Bill.
And then your
And
sisters?
Jackie.
And then I was born. I was the 7th one born.
The boys.
The boys.
What about Etty? Wasn't Etty the oldest girl?
Who?
Etty.
Etty was the oldest girl. She came after him.
After
Louis. Louis was, what's his father? Smikey's father.
Yeah.
Look at how people wore dresses. Look, Maggie. We see today we think it's,
Those days,
Yeah.
this was smart.
Why don't you show the camera? What are you looking at?
know how people dressed, even in those days.
Yeah.
They exposed their chests.
Yeah.
They did.
Oh, I remember those days, how you used to dress.
See?
Very sexy,
Yeah.
gorgeous.
And we accepted, Maggie.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So,
it's okay, Maggie, go.
God bless you. How have you got the patience?
Tell me, your mother was Sarah Friedman?
My mother's what?
Sarah Friedman, was that her name? What was her mother's name?
Sarah, I guess.
Sarah Friedman?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she gave birth to all of the
The
children.
11th, yes.
And did she die in childbirth? How did she die?
Well, she had a ruptured stomach, and they suggested an operation, but she feared it. And then they rushed her to the hospital. It was too late.
How old were you when your mother died?
Just 12. I did have to sit shiva.
But do you remember it very clearly?
Yes. I remember people came to the house, and then I was in charge of Marvin and all the young kids I was
Your brother?
taking care of.
Yeah.
Had to do their laundry, keep them clean, and be with them.
Okay, you told me one story about your mother, the woman that your father married
Yeah, it was a bitch.
after your mother. And you told me one story about a dress.
She used to, every time I bought a new dress, she used to come with a knife and slash it, I don't know what it is. And then she had us arrested, but they wouldn't give us.
Do you remember how did that happen? She had you arrested. What was it for?
Well, it was a Friday night. My father was wakened, and Mr. Goldblatt, Frank's father,
Yeah.
to come with them. And then they decided that he's not worth to live with. My father realized that the children to consider first, because he had a rabbi, a cousin, and the rabbi says if she doesn't treat the children right, then you have no rights to live with her. Because he arranged for them to get married. He said a religious man would never be left without a wife. And that's all I could remember.
But you told me once that you had this beautiful dress, and
Yeah.
you went to put it on, and it was slashed in it. And was that the final straw when your father finally agreed to
Yes,
divorce
to
her?
get rid of her, we couldn't get along.
And what did she have you arrested? She wanted you arrested for what? What did she say that you did?
I don't know what happened, all of us, because we answered her, we fought her back. And she wouldn't put up with it.
Okay, now there was
But
also...
we never went, we were interviewed by the, what do you call it?
Police?
By the police. They didn't arrest us or anything.
You told me that you were very unhappy, and so your father sent you to Loretta. Can you talk about that?
But yeah, school.
Yeah.
Well, you see, I reached a certain life, and my best friend was a neighbor, Mrs. Dorr. He raised horses, Mr. Dorr. And they were very good friends of ours. And every time I had a problem to her, to Mrs. Dorr, she always helped me carry my burdens, my responsibilities, and I would discuss everything with her, what's happened to me.
Yeah.
And life went on.
I just want to so it stays close to your mouth.
Who's there?
It's your microphone. Okay, go ahead.
And that's all I could say.
No, but she got you into Loretta, didn't she?
What there?
Your friend, didn't she, this lady, didn't she get you Loretta?
I guess she must have, because it's so many years. She must have. She was Catholic, I guess.
Yeah, and
Mrs. Dorr, she was Catholic. And she was wonderful to me and to my family, to Stanley. Whoever needed her, she was right there to help us.
And how was it at Loretta? Did you like it
Oh,
there?
I loved it. I loved the nuns. I loved the priests. We used to go walking in the big doors. And I used to say, oh, if I was only a Catholic, I'd love to be. I really enjoyed, because I took piano lessons there, elocution lessons. And they were very warm people.
Do you remember how many years you were at Loretta?
Well, I was there 2 years, 2 seasons.
And you loved it.
I loved it, but I had to leave because the children were growing. I had to do their laundry, send stuff away to be washed, to keep up. It was a hard life for me. It really
How
was.
far did you go in school?
Well, I guess I must have gone how far when I can't really remember, you know. It was a tough way to live and to do things. You remember how long I went to school? I can't remember. But this was a family, and each and every brother was wonderful. This is Maxie. He never got married. And this is Bill. He was a sailor, and he had to go to war. My father. And this is Ruby. And who's this? Davy. And my brother Louie. He was very nicely educated. He became a plumber. He opened up business on York Street. And one of the shops that we owned, that he owned, and he became a what do you call it? He was gorgeous. The family were wonderful. My brothers were wonderful.
You used
And
to
this
tell
is-
me that your sisters, you were always the best dressed girls in town, I remember you said.
Well, we were, you know, we were all tall, and we did, look,
And how you boss them around, tell that you were the boss. They all look up to you.
I forget that part, but it was a tough life for us.
Can you tell me the story about your father and the restaurant business?
Yeah, he opened up a restaurant. My mother had one child after another, so he decided to go into the restaurant. So it was on Saturday, I see, and a man came in a client, and he ordered for my father chicken and soup and whatnot. So through my father walked over and thanked him for coming and patronizing him. And he says, well, Mr. Levi, everything was nice, but the dinner had no top or something went
Taste,
wrong.
yeah.
Somebody says, what do you mean? He says, yeah, it's a gefilte. Something is missing. It wasn't salted, it wasn't peppered enough, something. So my father opens the door, he says, get the hell, don't you come back. And then he came to the store, and he fired all the hell. And he says, from now on, no more restaurant. My best friend, I'm going to tell everybody, don't go to eat, because everything was a bluff. And he kicked me out, and he wouldn't let us never become restaurant owners. He said, stay away from the worst thing is to feed people, to satisfy them.
Did your father go from one business?
Yes. My father was very aggressive and big. Everything. Had to buy a bag of potatoes, a bag of onions, everything to have in the house. He was a father to us, but he didn't have the time. He always wanted to improve, to make money, very
To
aggressive.
provide for all of you.
You what?
And to provide for
Yeah,
all of you.
well, 11 children.
So what was his personality like? Was he,
Well, he had temper. He was something like Mama's.
was he?
Well, you know, he very outspoken. Very outspoken. He had a lot of problems, and he had a tough life. Like you say, to provide for 11 people was a lot of work.
But he was successful, wasn't he well-to-do?
One time he was a millionaire, next time he was nothing. He had to work hard to be recognized. And that's all I could remember.
He took chances, you see.
He what?
He always took chances.
He took chances? Like he took risks in business?
He took what?
Chances.
Can't do.
Chances. You know, like he took chances.
Oh, yes, he
Yeah.
was, yes, a
Yeah.
gambler.
A gambler.
Yes.
Yeah. Did he live in England or something? Is that
What?
where he was from, England? Weren't your older brothers born in England?
Yes, Louis. They got out of Europe at that time. There were so many people being killed and shot, so they escaped. But that I don't remember because they never told us really what happened.
Was he Orthodox, your father?
Yeah,
He was so your family
And
kept
spoke-
Shabbat and
yeah, he spoke Hebrew fluently.
really, he spoke Hebrew.
Yeah,
And he was very traditional, he was religious.
very.
Did you go to
Very.
the shul every Shabbat?
Oh, yes.
And you kept Friday night,
Oh, yeah, we always made kiddush and we lived a very rich life.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay, so Bubby, hold on a sec.
Have something to eat.
I
Wait.
did already. I already have you. I'm gonna give you this picture now. Okay, this is your wedding picture,
Yeah.
and you were wearing the most beautiful dress.
We're very unhappy here.
Yeah, you look very unhappy.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit?
What I tell you, I've once told you.
You told me you were unhappy because you had so much responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah, that you knew that now that you were married, you had to take care of all your
Yes.
siblings.
Had to look after their laundry. It used to worry me terrible.
Did they come and live with you after you were married?
What dear?
Did your younger brothers and sisters come to live with you after you were married?
Well, I went to live with them.
After you were married?
Because we had a beautiful home. Beautiful. On Park Street North. It's still there. And these are, and this is Frank's sister. This is my sister. This is a cousin to Frank. And this is also a cousin. And this is one of the kids. Who's this? Is that See, these are my sisters. This is Frank. And this is a cousin.
That's Gertie's son, Sheldon. Sheldon?
Is it Sheldon? Could be. And this is Sarky. Cockeyed Sarky.
Why do you mean cockeyed?
Well, she was fine.
Who's Sorky?
Yeah.
Sorky Levy?
Sarky.
Like Frank's
No, my
wife?
sister Etty's daughter.
Oh, Etty's daughter.
Yeah.
She was cross-eyed?
Yeah.
Really?
She was. And this is me, and this is one of Jackie's children.
How did you meet, Dee Dee?
Who?
How did you and Frank meet?
Oh, well, we were the first Jewish people in our street, on Barton Street, on a hill, because we had to have a certain big room, a house.
He was considered a good catch, wasn't he, Frank?
Considered.
Catch, Frank.
Yeah.
Didn't your father tell you that you had to marry Frank Goldblatt?
Yeah, see, I was in love with another fella.
Who were you
Ruby Allender.
Ruby Allender?
Yeah, yes. He had no father. His father got killed. And he used to take me out because he was tall. I liked him.
Yeah.
And he was a nice boy. But my father couldn't take him. So he says, you know, Dolly, if I were you, I'd go after Frank. Frank comes from a nice family, and he's a nice boy, knows how to make a living. And I says, he's too short. I didn't like him because he was short. He said, forget about it. He'll grow, be big, but one day you'll be proud of him. So I went on, and then Frank used to call me to date me. Cock me on a date. And so he left me a car. Somebody owed him money. They paid him back by giving him a car. So he says, I'll leave a car here with you, Dolly. Whenever you want to ride it, you call up and take a lesson. I said, I wouldn't take lessons in driving. He says, take lessons. It's good to know how. So I forget what happened. If I went through with it, I must have. It's a long time. And these are all the immediate family.
You think that, were you considered a good catch too?
Well, people were very jealous. They were jealous.
How did you know they were jealous?
Because I could feel it. And I went to a convent. I loved Loretta. And when I went out, I always liked a certain type of man. And in those days, they'd wear the socks.
Argyle socks?
Yeah. So very expensive. So Frank used to leave a tip. So I took the money, the tip, put it in my purse. And don't tell them. And he always tipped so much. And I thought, what the hell? And here, I didn't have a job or anything, so I didn't.
And what did you do with the money?
And the money, I bought socks in those days, and I dressed. That's what.
She was good.
I was a bugger. I must have been. Now that that's life.
So do you remember when he asked you to marry him?
Well, yes, but his father didn't think I was good.
No.
No, he didn't think I was good enough. See, even in those days, the father, they wanted big shots.
Why, you weren't rich enough? Was it money or what?
I don't know what it was. But I didn't care.
So how did he ask you to marry him? Do you remember how he did it?
Well, Frank used to come in and play the piano with one finger, and he was very warm. Frank always had a good nature. And he was a giving person. When I needed money, I didn't go to my father, to my brothers. I went to Frank, and he always helped me out. In those days, I wasn't ashamed. I told my father I wanted a dress at one of the shops, and Frank says, buy it, I'll pay for it. And I did. And that's how my life went on. If he was a good friend.
So were you in love with him when you married him?
Well, he was so good. He really was kind. And this is Rosie and Bella. And this is Jessie. And this is Hilda. This is Marcy. And this is George. And Mikey, do you remember? You would remember. And this is Rosie, Bella, Frank, and me. And this is George and Jessie.
It's a beautiful picture.
How did you feel about your brother and your sister-in-law and your sisters-in-law? Were you close with them?
Well, I was smart enough to know how to act. I really was. Even though I had a lot of heartache, but I always knew how to get out of trouble and out of trouble. I was lucky in that respect. And that's all I could say. Before you know it, we would pack and we'd move on. So my brother was born in London, and they went from one place to another, I can't remember.
When did your life start getting better?
After I got married.
Because you had money? Did that make the difference?
Well, it was a difference, you know?
Yeah.
You lived.
Where did you move? What was your first house? Was it a house that you moved
A gorgeous house. We had the nicest house.
Where was it?
It's still there.
What's the address?
213 Park Street North. Gorgeous. We had the best furniture. And my father entertained the biggest lawyers in Hamilton.
At your house?
My father, yes, invite them to come and have her. And Mrs. Dorr, that's my neighbor, she'd come and set the table for me, help me out, because I was kosher. And I wouldn't buy nothing unless it was Jewish. And she was so full. She had $2. And she was a great help to me.
Did your sisters come and live with you after you were married?
Oh, well, she had a husband who was he used to rent dogs or horses. I forget what he did, her husband. And she had time to be with me. And every time I had a problem, I ran to Mrs. Dorr. She was a wonderful friend.
You lived on Park Street.
Yeah.
And then later on you moved to John Street, didn't you?
Well, we built a house, my father built, because we had to have 2 toilets. We only had 1 toilet. So, but then we...
Mr. Gobler built that house on John Street.
Yeah. I can't remember. And that's how life went. So what are you going to put in? Don't put all that shit.
Now, you once told me about Marvin's breasts. Who came to Marvin's breasts when Marvin was born?
Oh, Everybody came. I had wealthy cousins from Rochester, and they came. Big family, too.
And did you have famous rabbis come to Marvin's
Yes.
Breast?
And then I called the wedding off because we had 5 rabbis, I think, were invited. And I couldn't see how could I. 5 I don't want them. I don't want to get married. I don't want to have a rabbi. So my father brought his relation, a rabbi, and he explained to me that I have to, if I want to get married to a Jewish man, I have to do certain things.
Like what?
Well, I can't remember if I kept them.
Did you want to call the wedding off?
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't like a wedding with 500 people. It was too much.
big.
Too big and
And
too much.
were most of those people in your father or by Jacob?
By both of them.
It was going to be a big, big, big wedding.
Yeah, and we
500
called it off. And everything was very expensive. And I called it off. And then I arranged with Sorry and Phil. They should go away.
That's
And
their
I'll
marriage.
meet them, yeah.
That's their marriage. But she's talking about yours now.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's with Sorry and Phil.
That was their marriage. You encouraged her to run away and get married.
Yes, and I said, so why spend all that money? Go. And she did, and nobody knew that I had arranged it.
You arranged it, and you did that because you had a big wedding and you didn't like it?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Like it.
No,
And that's why you looked so unhappy that day on your wedding day?
I guess so.
Yeah, even though you were such a beautiful bride. Why don't you show that to the camera, Maggie?
Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, we're going to do it.
Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
I know, but
That was like a royalty wedding. It was.
Was it like royalty?
I didn't know about royalty.
Can you tell me a bit about Jacob? What do you remember about Dee Dee's
He was the
father?
most generous person in the world. His furniture in the dining room was oak. And one day, I went there at noon, and I said to him, look at the furniture. I'm ashamed to have people come. He says, look, Dolly, this is what makes me happy. I'll give up everything to help people come. You know what it is to live. You know what it is to spend money. These people don't know how to live or how. And this is how Mr. Goldblatt used to talk. He says, I love to give and help people. And he did. He was the most generous person. Nothing was too much. He really wonderful. And we got along beautifully because when I had a problem, I always went to somebody in the family. Life went very fast. Oh, I'm talking. I hope I can remember.
I remember a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you,
What?
Dee Dee was just like his father, wasn't he?
Who?
Frank was just like his father?
Yes. Never said no. He once took over to help them raise money for the Jewish people here in Hamilton. And when he went to people's house, everybody had a story. They couldn't afford this. So Frank came home. He says, no more will I go out. I feel, he says, people have nothing to eat. And here we come collecting. He couldn't take it. Couldn't take it. He says, people collecting money, and here we're sending money away for people to live. And that's the way he looked at life. He really was wonderful. A wonderful father-in-law and a wonderful person. He was. See, my father was different. My father was more outgoing, but sick wife. See, Frank's mother was a sick woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob's wife, yeah. What did she have?
What your sister has.
Parkinson.
They didn't know what it was in those days.
How old was Frank when his mother died?
Oh, we were married.
Oh, she lived that long?
Yes, we were married. I'm sure we did, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I want you to just take a break because I have to change the tape. You just relax for a minute.
It's enough there.
Do you want me to just stop? Is it enough for today? And I'll come back another.
Yeah,
Okay, it's enough.
yeah, it's enough, isn't it?
All right, that was very good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I cannot believe that you remember
Excellent.
so well, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, it was a different life.
Sometimes when Bobby, see, she goes from Frank to,
Yeah.
then you have to correct because she comes again.
Yeah.
See, she needs a little bit help there.
But you know,
even
I don't
one
mind when
attack.
she does that.
Oh, okay.
Because this
that's
is going to be
fine.
edited anyway.
Okay.
And what's relevant to that,
That's
we
good.
can always cut it. and
Because
paste it.
she is good at things. Oh my goodness, I know stories she would tell me, oh, and they are so real, but she got a little bit confused here.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That's okay.
You know why? Because
Yeah.
there's parallels. Like she remembers her wedding, how big, and then
Yeah.
she remembers telling Sorry to go away and elope. And so there's a connection there.
Yeah.
Because it's because of her experience with herself. She didn't want Sorry to go
That's
through
right,
it.
through all that, what she went through.
So they are
yeah.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're connected.
It was tough, it was hard.
Bella Adler called you to wish you
Who?
happy birthday.
Who called?
Bella Adler. Bella Adler. Adler.
Bella Adler.
Hello.
How come everybody knows it's your birthday?
I never celebrate.
So how old are you today?
I don't know, honest to God.
I think you're 97.
Am I?
Yeah. What does it feel? What does 97 feel like?
I don't go back. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I don't think of age. Who was the Maggie?
Marvin. Yeah. He's so excited. How is the birthday girl?
I feel terrible. You're coming tonight.
I'm coming later.
Well, later, it's okay, yeah.
8:30. Yeah.
Yes,
I'll
that's
come
all
for
right.
dessert. But I saw you today. That's why I'm glad I
yeah,
came
she's
down.
busy, yeah.
Oy.
Yeah. So who else is coming tonight?
It's just her two sisters. I mentioned to Heidi. Heidi also called. So I said, oh, that Heidi, bless her. She said, I said, Mrs. Rosen, you and Frida coming with us for dinner. For her. Said, what for? What's the reason we have dinner? I said, don't start that again, you know. So I said, for Mrs. Who is taking us where we're going? I said, I'm busy. And then, so Heidi, Frida, and Barbara on Sunday accepted it. Yeah. And then, I don't know if Marvin asked Jay and Flora, because yesterday they said
they
Jay and
asked her.
Flora, Wendy and Lori, Sorry.
So why don't you come, dear?
She is, but a
I
little
am,
bit
a little later.
Yeah, she's
And
busy.
Lori, because Lori has to drive the kids to a lesson, so he's going to come later too.
Yeah.
Because of the kids.
And then Rita, and Mrs. Goblet, and
Who? God? You? You're God, right?
you're not doing
No,
good.
no,
Okay,
no.
that's
Yeah,
fine, because
yeah.
I don't want to, with my language, I don't want to talk.
Why? There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so that's
you lived 97 years so far.
She said, how old
so
am I?
up to and so bright and so good. Wendy, see, when with Bobby is like that. When I'm with her, she seldom gets confused, and soon she steps over. I bring her right back on the track, and she continues. But when you let her go with the confusion, then she gets more.
Yeah.
No, you just say something, and she goes right.
Right.
Oh, she is.
Well, I had a
absolutely
very interesting life
very.
up to a point.
Yeah.
Too much responsibility.
Yeah.
And it always came.
Yeah, but Mrs. Goblet, your responsibility was after your married, so you felt like you have to take care of your sisters.
Yes,
Once
and the
you
house.
got married, and the
I
house.
had the house was a big house.
Yeah.
So Gertie used to look after the upstairs, and I looked after the downstairs. And Gertie was with me.
More you were bossing them, telling them what to do. You
Oh,
weren't doing
naturally,
much.
yes.
That's it. You weren't doing much of the work. Bobby was very good to tell them, yeah.
So your mother's picture is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
What did you see? The flyer?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Laya.
yeah.
It's a good picture.
Yeah.
A very good picture.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And you know, Wendy, that concert, when that guy announced about Lillian Goblet in her memory, like she said, music on sea. You don't open your eyes and look at that. You feel it. You know, when he did start to play that, like I saw Lil relaxing and enjoying that music. Did you feel that? I was so, So
Because-
unbelievably touchy.
How did it affect you?
Because she loved music, and that was like in that piece. It was a very slow, you can fall asleep piece, but that's the piece was just.
Yeah, but it got lively.
Yeah, I know.
Got lively.
But it was unbelievably touchy. But you have to concentrate that, what he said, and now you listen to that. Unbelievable.
It was hot though.
Well, you forget.
Yeah.
You forget. It was hard. For Bobby, was no way to be near that place. I'm feeling it in, Maggie, I can see you exactly. I was living there with you, how you would done it. No
Yeah,
way, it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't. And then the restaurant was too much for you. That's not anymore. Everybody gets. And you know how to operate it also.
Well,
Yeah.
I interviewed this weekend. My Uncle Marty.
Did you?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. We came to see Bobby. You know that.
Yeah, did you see Marty?
Looked lovely. He really improved.
He improved. He's very handsome.
He's always
is,
like
very.
He is, and such a kind.
Yeah, he is a good
Never
friend.
a-
Bobby, can you just talk about when my father met my mother, the first time you met my mother? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Well, Marvin insists we go to meet her. And was saying that she's a lovely person, but she has a child. So anyway, we went along, and we didn't say anymore. I said to Marvin, is this what you want? He said, yes, wait till you meet her. She's beautiful. And he compared her to, what's her name? The auntie of yours. To, your mother's sister-in-law. Anyway, so he went on. So what happened?
Where did you meet her? Did you go to New York?
So we went to New York.
New York.
It was very hot season. And Marvin says, I want you to come to New York to meet her. So I says, fine. So I said, sorry, I'll go with me, and you will pick her up and bring her. So when Lil came, God bless her soul, she came, it was a hot day in August. And she's dressed in all black, and a black hat, a veil of those days. And I looked at her and I says, oh my God, no lady. And then he got a child. So I said, sorry, we have to keep quiet. Let's see what's happening. So then after Marvin took us for lunch, we ate lunch, and Lil was very interested in her talk, and we enjoyed it for the moment. Then I said to Marvin, marry the cousin.
Irene.
Irene. I said, she's younger, and she has no family, and maybe you should try to go with her. He says, no, I like this one, Lil. So anyways, we had a nice time. We come home. Everybody wants to know what she's like. We said, thank God we take anybody. She was all dressed, poor Lil, when she heard the family was coming, she got dressed in black, all black, a black veil, a black hat. She was sweaty. And we got a long night. And then Marvin came, he says, Marvin, it's up to you. If you want the responsibility to be a father, but what do you need it for after all? You're young, you're handsome. He says, don't tell me anymore. He says, I know what I... So we shut up.
Was she beautiful? Were you impressed with her beauty?
Well, was I impressed? Yes. She was, well, once she took the veil off and she became one of us, you couldn't help, my way of putting her makeup on. She looked beautiful. And Mama wanted her. So we said, go ahead, do what you want. Don't ask us. In fact, how long it lasts. Too bad it didn't last.
I wanted your approval.
Yeah.
And you were very good at everything.
Yeah,
You were
listen.
very understanding, always.
Yeah, because what can we do? He said plain, I like her and I want her, and he would look at it.
Do you remember when Lil came to Hamilton for the first time?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, when he brought her up. I guess she got married in Hamilton, right?
I guess I did.
Yeah. And with the child, do you remember, did she go to a lot of parties, introduced to people? And
Well, I was supposed to have a party for her to meet people,
yeah,
but it didn't work.
it didn't work?
No, because it was too many people to absorb and to know how to treat them. I didn't know how to treat them.
Yeah.
But Marvin didn't care. He said, don't worry. Don't worry about her. She's easy to get along with, and
Yeah.
everything will be fine. So we let it go, and we never bothered introducing her.
Now, Lil had a very relationship with Frank, didn't she?
Well, I guess she must have.
I think they were very close.
Yes, they must have.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Frank was helping her get by,
Yeah.
and with a child.
Yeah.
He did the right thing in the right way.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I have no evil thought.
Yeah.
Because when we used to go on trips and I went with Lil, and she treated me with all respect,
Yeah.
and we always touched with got along.
Yeah.
Never had any, I don't think, any hard feelings.
No. She was, hold on a minute.
Who's that? So
She and my
that's-
father, you used to travel together
He
before.
went-
You and my parents used to travel together
Yes.
a lot. You went to Europe, you went
Yeah.
to Israel.
Yes, that's what I say. I have wonderful memories
Yeah.
of Lil.
You got along.
Yes, I
Yeah.
really did. No matter what she did, she always did it with such love and respect. And then when something went wrong, Mama used to get shuggy a little bit.
Yeah.
I always stuck up for Lil,
Yeah.
always. Because I felt that she had something there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hard life, but what can you do? That's what I say, be careful, kids. Don't go crazy with the mother. It's a tough world.
I don't know if you're up to this, but can you recall the time when my father, you were worried about him and you sent him to a psychiatrist?
Yeah.
What was he doing that you were worried about?
Well, he home, and we lived in the other part of the house. And, you know, if I wanted to go away with Frank, I always left Marvin in charge to mind Sorry. And that's what happened. I depended on them. And they were always there to help me.
So why did you want Marvin to see a psychiatrist?
Because he came home, he always had a dog. And he was always good to the animal. And then with the pressure of the time, you know, I used to worry, and he never talked.
Yeah,
Never talked.
he was a loner.
He was a loner. So one day I went out with one of my friends, and I was telling her how I found Marvin. I said, I'm worried about him, because he doesn't enjoy being home. I never know who to invite or what he expects of me. So she says, you know what, Dolly, you're lucky you're here now. There's a psychiatrist in town, and I'm using him for a certain day. If you want him, I'll get, she says, oh, that sounds great. So she marks down his name and everything, and I said, fine. And then I says, Barbara, would you go to see a psychiatrist? He said, what for? There's nothing wrong with me. I said, I want you to go. I said, I made up the appointment. Anyway, so I says, so he says, I don't know if he says yes or no, but I called this guy, long distance, he was in Toronto, and I introduced myself. I told him I had a problem son. And when can you come? He says, whatever, you know, I want him. So he came, I don't know when. Marvin's got the letter. And he came, he interviewed Marvin. He says, there's nothing wrong with him. He said, maybe it's you. I says, it could be, because I'm not used to having a child so quiet. All of a sudden, Marvin became very quiet and still. So I don't know if he laughed or cried or what. So he says it takes a week or two. I'll send mail in. And I says, you send your bill, I'll see that you get your money. And that's how Marvin got in. And then he made nothing of it. Marvin thought it was a joke. So, anyway, so that's the end. So thank God.
But you were a good mother, weren't you?
What?
You were a good mother.
I don't know how good, but he was a good son. I could go on trips, leave Marvin to take care of the house, take care of Abby and Sorry. He was a wonderful and then I went with Lil and Marvin. We always traveled together.
Talk about the first time you went to Israel.
Well, yes. And I was disappointed. But then it grew. I loved it. I loved it then. But at first I was
Why?
the toilets. And there was nothing was civilized, you know. But then it worked out.
Did you kiss the ground on your first trip?
Yes. So happy to feel that this is our land. And yeah, it was thrilling. It was. So when did you go to Israel?
When I was 17. We were all sent. 16, 17, we all went. It was a big part of, I grew up hearing, like, I remember Israel was always in the house. My parents always talked about Israel. That's how I grew up. I remember hearing about your trips.
Yeah, sure, Israel. Till we got it, till we made it. And sometimes I think maybe we shouldn't have gotten into it.
Why?
Because maybe the Israelis belonged there. Didn't clean up the place. See, they didn't make it look livable, or they didn't offer anything to the Jews. But I figured maybe if we had a better closeness to help them, but they say they're too bad, it didn't work out. How do you feel about Israel?
Oh, I love Israel.
You do?
Yeah, I want to live there.
You do?
Yeah.
Could you live there, Wendy?
Oh, if you can live very well in Israel.
I guess.
Very well.
Yeah.
You know, when we were there for Becca's bat mitzvah,
Yeah.
I tried to talk my dad into buying an apartment for the family
So,
in
what happened?
Jerusalem. He said no.
You never bought
But you would
Oh, Jerusalem is so beautiful. Yeah. You wouldn't recognize the country today. It's beautiful.
Sure.
I mean, they have a lot of
Yeah.
problems. But physically, it's like living here. I mean, it's beautiful. It's not like when you were there.
Yeah, days
Yeah.
modern,
Yeah.
comfortable. Those days
It's
it
just
wasn't.
beautiful.
They needed a lot of money then to build it
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
We did.
yeah,
Well, let's hope.
yeah,
But the killing and the shooting and everything,
yeah, yeah,
that scares you.
yeah.
But it's not only in Israel, it's all over the world.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where you going to eat lunch? You want a bite here?
I ate. When you were upstairs, I had a baked peanut
That's
butter.
enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
All right, I'm going to let you relax now because
All
it's been that was really excellent. How do you turn this off?
So good luck to
She
you.
really.
We're
Miss
very
Fowler, you are
proud.
Something. Oh, I can't believe it. When I saw, oh my God, she's here. Bobby's not in a mood at all.